Hey, you wanted to see me?
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know that the Ottawa Senators and your old pal, Linus Olmark, have won four straight, and they are actually in a playoff spot right now.
So I'm here so you can laugh at me?
Not unless I have something to laugh at. Do I? Do I have something to laugh at?
No. No, nothing comes to mind.
No? No, I don't. So you didn't lose 11 straight? You didn't just get blown out by the Habs, who are also a bottom-dwelling team? Your owner doesn't think that the fix to this unmitigated disaster is to tell you that, I believe in you. The answer is in the room. None of that happened?
Why am I here?
In this room? Because you're a glutton for shame. On this planet? I think you're just here so the hockey gods can show us what hell looks like.
Is it ever going to be anyone else's turn in hell?
Look, I don't make that decision, but no. Low quality fans of a high quality Bruins team that is a dub. It's midnight. It's midnight on a work night. We gotta be quiet. We gotta be chill. We gotta be relaxed. That's a great dub. It's a great dub. There's a lot to say about this dub because to refer to losing this game as a disaster is a little bit of overkill. But the way we were losing it was just more frustration. This team is so unbelievably frustrating. Just like when you don't like, comment, subscribe. Nailed it. Also, the Discord link below. I keep trying to update it so it doesn't break on me all the time, but the Discord's a lot of fun. Check it out. The game. It's a great win. It's unbelievably frustrating how this team... The consistency is terrible. The identity is non-existent for half the time. They go through spurts where they understand how to play together all of a sudden, and then they go through large chunks of time where they don't know what their assignments are at all. And it's not because of the line shuffling anymore, because we really don't see much of that. In fact, line shuffling kind of saved us in this one, which, is a tool that coaches oftentimes use. We obviously got on Monty about, hey, you're using it too much because no one has any time to build any chemistry. I love the timeout call that allowed for the team to kind of catch its breath. There's all sorts of great stuff from Sacco and some weird stuff from Sacco too. The deployment after big shifts, bringing out lines that were underperforming directly after a really good shift from one line. It felt weird and self-destructive at times as well. So there's highs and lows. But this wouldn't have been a disaster if you lose this game. The road trip would be pretty close to a disaster if you're 1-3 at this point. But you're 2-2. You got your cheeks clapped for two of them, but you had a really strong effort against Vancouver and a semi-strong effort against Calgary. Calgary, this is the second time we're meeting them this year. We beat them 4-3 in the first week of November. So the same result. They started the season hot, winning 5 of 6, surprising many of us, but as predicted, the team lacks the star power and general depth to be competitive this year at a high level. This recent 10-game stretch going 3-5-2 has certainly shown that coming into this game. That being said, they sit in the second wildcard spot. They're far from dead. Most of us expect them to continue to fall down the standings. It's not a roster that overwhelms you in any way. They rank 17th on the power play, 29th on the penalty kill, 26th in goals for, and 15th in goals allowed. The Flames fans were prepared for an underwhelming season, I think. All the news out of there was, we've got some guys that we're kind of excited about, but we don't have a complete team right now. But this hasn't been as disappointing as it should have been, I don't think, for the season so far. But if there is one thing in this mixed bag of a season for Flames fans that they get to be excited about, genuinely excited about, it is second year, technically, Dustin Wolf, who's going to start this game against the Bruins. So far through the season, he has 15 starts. He has a .915 save percentage and a 2.65 goals allowed average. He's been excellent. He's only 23. He's not a flash in the pan unless, I guess he could be, but our expectations for this guy coming up as a prospect was, hey, this is the second or third best goalie prospect in the NHL right now. And he's looking like he could have made a case for number one, because frequently we would talk about Wallstedt as well in this conversation, along with one or two others that I can't think of off the top of my head right now. But Wolf was part of that conversation for this prospect who looked really good, who was expected to be really good. And I mean, spoiler alert, he's really good. He's a really good goaltender. On the other end, the Bruins, 31st on the power play now. That's exciting, but most everything has stayed the same. Can't score. Defense is okay. Goaltending's not been great. The lineups for this game: Marchand, Lindholm, Brazeau, Geeky, Zaka, Pasta, Frederick, Coyle, Kostelic, Kepke, Beecher, McLaughlin, Zadorov, McAvoy, Osterley, Carlo, Lohrei, Peak, Swayman. Hampus is still week to week. He cannot come back soon enough. This is getting really gross from a lot of players on the defensive end of the spectrum here, because you've got Zadorov when he's in a first pairing role. Just there's some brutal defensive lapses with him. Osterley, Carlo was a disaster all night long. Lohrei, Peak has highs and peaks and valleys, no pun intended. There are some brutal moments with every single pairing of our defense right now. And Hampus at least caters to McAvoy if they're going to be paired together, allows Zadorov, Carlo to work together, who's been okay at times, and then the third pair can be whatever it needs to be. Osterley likely falling out of the lineup unless they just decide to push Lohrei out. But Wotherspoon right now, if he could play higher in the lineup, I think he would be in over Osterley. I'm really struggling. I want to give Osterley a lot of credit because I think he's playing above his station, and we all know that, and he's doing as admirable of a job as you could expect. But I still think he's our eighth defenseman. I think Wotherspoon's a better option. I just think they need more flexibility right now, and Wotherspoon doesn't offer as much flexibility. So Osterley's the next guy up, if that makes sense. Let's talk about this game. We're going to have a lot of game notes at the end, and they're mostly negative, if I'm going to be honest with you. But we'll get there when we get there. Let's start with puck drops, as usual. And I have 0 notes from the first period. None. I have nothing worth saying. No penalties were called. The referees stayed out of this game for the most part, which only benefits the Bruins. Our power play is absolute donkey balls. There's no reason for us to want a game with a bunch of calls made in it. But yeah, there's nothing about the first period to even talk about. The defensive layers for both teams are pretty solid. The Flames better than ours. Neither goaltender was challenged consistently, though. Marchand still looked hot as hell. He's all over the ice, but other than that, there's really just nothing from the first to even talk about. And then you go into the second. Lindholm referred to the first as awful, basically, in the intermission. Elias Lindholm was saying that, well, it can't be worse than what that period was. And I kind of agree with him because it was a really lackluster period for the Bruins. That being said, Elias, have you been watching this year? Have you been paying attention to what you and the rest of the team have done this year in about 50% of your games? And you want to talk about can't be worse than a scoreless period where you guys didn't look very good? That's the worst case scenario for you right now? Buddy, you just lost 8-1 less than a week ago. You want to talk about the worst case scenario right now? I understand where he was coming from, but of all people, Elias Lindholm, maybe not the take you should have right now. I'm going to compliment you in a little while, though, so it's fine. Second period starts 54 seconds into the period. After a really good initial shift where we get into the zone, we create some chances. Nothing comes from it, though. The Flames come back into our zone and get a contested shot from the slot. The rebound gets punched to the right corner. McAvoy chases to have a board battle. Now, it's not going to stay in the corner very long, and I have a real problem with how this play went because the puck gets moved over to that corner. Basically four Bruins along with 4 Flames move over to that wall. Everyone's on that wall. Puck doesn't stay on the wall long. It gets quickly moved. Backlund gets to it, shifts it to Coleman, who's in that circle. Then there is Coronado, who is standing in the slot all alone, skated right into there as everyone else shifted. Alone in the slot. 4 Bruins basically on that wall. None of them are to blame for this. because Zadorov, in his infinite hockey wisdom, is standing on the goal line next to Swayman on the right post, watching the boards. Just little TV action, chilling, hanging out, taking a sip of a beer, relaxing. So they pass it to Coronado. Zadorov goes, oh shit, my job, skates at him, and it's such a disadvantageous situation for a defenseman if you're just launching at a player because you're out of position. He quickly toe drags around him using Zadorov's momentum against him and just high blocker nails this. It's 1-0, less than a minute into the second period because Zadorov couldn't be bothered to pay attention. I mean, that's a defensive lapse that you can just never, that's never something that you can sit down in the film room and be like, bah, yeah, what a quirky little moment. What a little mental, no. That is flat out stupid. That's the kind of tape that you sit down in the film room and the coach rips into you on a 3-minute just rant. And you just got to sit there and take it because you have zero argument as to why you weren't covering the only guy in a scoring position. And we're standing in a place that would prevent literally nothing. The only thing you were hoping for was McAvoy gets there before Backlund, which wasn't really happening, and was going to tuck the puck back towards behind the net where you would get to accept and get a clean breakout. But instead, you opted to just stand there, watch this play happen, react way too late to a player standing alone in the slot. I mean, we have 5.5 more years of this guy. And this is the kind of shit he does every other game. We've talked about how he's been performing better. Defensively, there's been better structure. But then there's moments like this where you just go, I can't believe we're paying you $5 million a year for the next 6 years. I'm so sick of this guy already. I don't. This was one of my game notes actually. I can't believe I have to watch him until I'm in my late 30s. That was disappointing. 27 seconds later, the Flames do something that the Bruins might have done 3 times this entire game so far, which is a clean, controlled entrance into the offensive zone. They work the puck low, and then Kadri is going to skate this up to the right point. He dishes it off to Huberdeau on the right wall. This is a simple give and go. Wake the fuck up. Tosses it to Huberdeau on the right wall. Skates into the slot. Marchand is on the blue line, hanging out. Just watching. Just watch as Huberdeau go Kadri go into the slot and then goes, oh, wait, maybe I should start to skate down. Brazeau has to come over from his man to try to attack it. It's too late. Huberdeau passes right back to Kadri. Swayman screened. Carlo's not clearing out the front of the net. Perfect shot, high glove. Hard to stop this one even if you could see it. And it's 2-0. The goal's 27 seconds apart. Both times because a player just wasn't paying attention defensively. Timeout called. Yes. Why do NHL coaches not use timeouts more in situations like this? I hope they got to the bench and he goes, hey guys, what the fuck? Like, neither of those goals happen if you simply are playing your position properly. Neither one. Neither chance even gets to the net if you're doing that. Insanely easy, those 2 goals for Calgary. I'm not going to get in on Swayman here. We're going to talk about Swayman in a little bit, but this is just defensively abhorrent. It's a pathetic display of a lack of paying attention. It's just lack of focus. I'm really, really bothered by that. I know we won this game. I want to get to the positive stuff, but I'm really profoundly bothered by how this team just takes defensive shifts off, and then they think they can come back from 2 down consistently, which they've done a couple times by some sort of miracle. But offensively, we still rank in the very, very late half of the league. We're not going to be able to do that too often. Ridiculous. 6:31 into the period. Looks like a nothing play that suddenly gets behind the Calgary defense. Elias Lindholm blocks a shot on our left point that flies into the neutral zone, ricochets off of the left wall, comes back out, and Elias Lindholm's the first one there. Marchand's tied up with another defenseman. Lindholm picks it up, skates down that left side, gets in on, it's a sharp angle breakaway with Wolf. Wolf wants this one back. He goes low glove. It somehow squeaks through in his eyes, and it's 2-1 just like that. Wolf definitely wants it back. We'll take him however we can get him. But my God, Elias Lindholm, production. Gets a goal on the first time in almost a month. I think the last one was November 21st. I think I remember that correctly. I'm really glad he scored Gonna need a lot more than that, though. Can't be once a month. Can't be once a month. That can't be once a month. It's 2-1. 3:30 left. Great play by Marchand. Launches Lindholm on a breakaway. Caught from behind. Wolf makes the save. Huge bummer there. 2:41 left. The Flames are taking it the other way. This is 50 seconds after that breakaway chance. There is zero opposition. It's 3-on-3. Zero opposition for them taking the blue line. They just skate right over, and I believe it's Lomberg who skates in. The 3 defensemen, there's 2 defensemen and a winger, but they all back up, giving him all the space. He dropped past Cesari, who skates to the top of the left circle. He's going to fire this in. Carlo's going to block it. It's going to bounce to a sharp angle. Swayman sold out for the initial shot, and Lomberg just gets to collect this rebound off the block and fling it past Swayman. It is 3-1. Now, are any of these 3 goals profoundly Swayman's fault? Do you sit there and go, Jesus, Swayman, can you get one of those? No, I don't think so. Goes back to the same conversation, though, of like, can we get a big save, man? And he did. He made a big save in the third on a breakaway that was huge. But, man, love to have one of those. It's picky, and it's not really fair because all 3 of those are pretty much like, what is he supposed to do about that? His defense is really letting him down on this one. Really letting him down. So, criticism to Swayman because it's another sub-900 save percentage performance. But, God, there's a lot of excuses built in there for the defense. It's not pretty. It's not pretty. 25 seconds left. A poor clearance by the Flames leads to a cross-crease pass to Pasta, who's all alone on that left side of the slot in tight. And he opts to pass back into the net front to, I believe Zaka's there, hoping that he can get a tap in. It leads to no shot being taken because it gets disturbed by the plethora of sticks that are just there in front of Zaka. Why aren't you shooting that? You scored 50 goals in this league in a season, man. Why aren't you shooting that? Unbelievable, the kind of chances that he gives up just to get others involved. We need you more than ever to take these shots and score, man. Ends 3-1. We're going to the third period. I still had a little bit of hope here. I really did. But you think about how recently we've come back from 2 down, and you kind of go, how often are we really going to be able to do that? Third period starts. 4:14 in. The Bruins are showing heart. I was really impressed. They're moving the puck well in the O-zone. Zaka finally frees up some space behind the net. He works the puck up to the top of the slot where Lohrei hammers this, but it breaks the stick. It skitters to the bottom of the right circle where Peak slams it into Wolf's pads, but the rebound gets to Geekie, who's in the slot, and he buries this. We talk about how we get so many unlucky bounces, it feels like, where like the Carlo deflection onto the stick of Lomberg, and he just gets a beat Swayman. I sat there and went, God, I'm so sick of being on the wrong end of a lucky bounce. But you got to remember that teams create those opportunities. There are games where you simply go, like, we can't get a bounce. But if you're consistently putting yourself in the position of a good bounce, you're going to get one eventually. And creating chances, being available in the slot or high danger areas off of the initial chance, being set up properly in the zone, you're going to get these bounces every now and again. Geekie scores in back-to-back games. It's a massive goal. It's 3-2. And Sacco, one of my biggest issues with this, he follows that goal up at a great shift with the goal, great multiple shifts with the goal, with the third line, who had been spending all night getting caved in. I just didn't understand that, bringing them out, and we immediately were back on our heels, just trying to survive the push from the Flames. I thought that was a weird decision to bring them out. But to be fair, 2 of the 4 lines were really, really struggling. 6:51 in. The team is continuing to show heart. They're continuing to push. And Lindholm has a great pass to Marchand on the left side of the neutral zone. And he's going to skate down the wall behind Wolf, swings around, flips it to McLaughlin in the slot. Hammers this on net. Save made. McLaughlin, it's not about being pretty. It's about being effective. He just barrels through the slot, gets to the nut front, gets that rebound, and smacks it past, while tackling Wolf, basically. Smacks it past the goaltender. The puck is hit before contact is made with the goaltender. It does not impede him in making the save. I think this was a good non-challenge by the Flames. It's 3-3, just like that. McLaughlin and Geekie scoring in back-to-back games, which is massive for this team to get a little bit of depth scoring right now. And we've come back from 2 goals down to tie it. This is massive for this team. This was a really important game to get back into it, because if you had just gotten smoked 4-1 or something along those lines, I mean, you really got to start thinking about, oh, we've lost 3 of 4 on this road trip. Every time we play a decent team other than Vancouver, we apparently get our absolute cheeks clapped. Like, Why should we start selling pieces? Where are we with that? 8:37 into the period, a Marchand breakaway that he gets caught on. They did a lot of catchiness from behind on breakaways. So he back passes to Lindholm, who tries to make a move around defenseman, gets pulled down by Hanley. We're going to the power play. This will be the only power play of the entire game. Again, very much benefited the Bruins that there weren't a lot of calls in this. Best chance of this power play, midway through the third of a tied game, was a shorthanded breakaway that Swayman makes a huge save on. You have a power play midway through the third period of a tied game, and the best opportunity of it is a shorthanded break. This power play is so laughably bad, and we don't talk about it a lot anymore because we're just sick of talking about it because it's so laughably bad. We're going to go to overtime, and the overtime's back and forth for 4 minutes. It ends up, of all the chances that each side had, saves that were made, blocks that were made, things of that nature, for it to end up with just Pasta skating into the slot, making a move to his right, making Wolf move horizontal, and then shooting low, post and in on the opposite side. Just a great individual play, a great shot. It's 4-3, overtime winner. Huge 2 points for this team. Just weird how it ended, but Pasta comes through in the clutch, which you love to see. But let's talk about some game notes here real quick. Midway through the third period, Coyle was moved to the right wing with Lindholm and Marchand. If you've been a long-time watcher of the channel, then you know in the offseason and late in last season, we talked a lot about a Coyle wing option because I think it's time. I think it's time that we've loosened up his responsibilities a little bit and utilized him more as a top six winger. I mean, if Zacha's a top six winger, if Brazeau's a top six winger, then so is Coyle. But as a possession guy who's going to help facilitate the puck and keep us in the offensive zone longer, rather than a third line center, which we have one of that we refuse to play because he's in the AHL right now. Move Coyle to the wing, drop McLaughlin back down, put Patra centering the third line. Why not? And that line looked pretty good, I thought. That's a huge development. I've been asking for it for a long time. I haven't mentioned it a lot this season because it looked like we really just weren't going to make that move. Again, if you've been around for a while, you remember this conversation, but that would be something that I would be so ready for, is allowing Brazeau to kind of move in the middle six wherever he needs to be. I still want him in the lineup, but I think Coyle would be an improvement on that second line on the wing, and I don't think it's necessary for Coyle to be at the center position right now on this team. If Zacha's going to play in the top six as a center, if Elias Lindholm is, you can move Coyle off of the center position and bring up Patra. Or see if Frederick can wake up at the center position. I don't know. Frederick's been trade bait is what he's been. I've complained about Zadorov already. I already did my whole rant on this. I just cannot believe that we have 6 years of this guy. I also, the whole helpful in the playoff stuff, I see the comments. I understand where you're coming from. What I don't understand is how this looks better in the playoffs. I know he's physical, but he leaves players alone in high danger areas all the goddamn time. He's slow to the walls, so typically he's not recovering rebounds or loose pucks in the defensive zone. His breakouts are clean. I do like most of his breakouts, but when pinned, he does struggle to get the big clearance out. I mean, this guy is not good. He's not good. He's one of the best hockey players in the world. He plays in the NHL. Compared to his contemporaries around him, he's not good. I just don't see how in the playoffs suddenly he's like the profile of a guy who helps you beat a better team. I just don't see it. I don't see it. Osterley Carlo was a disaster, like an unmitigated disaster. They got pinned constantly. They couldn't move the puck. They were just flailing in the offensive zone. It was awful. Don't go back to that pairing. Find a different one to utilize because that was awful the whole time. Swayman, another sub 900 save percentage game. Not a lot of his fault. You would just love to see some better numbers from this guy. You really would. It's a lot of money. That's the kind of money you make when you're not in a great position, but you're being paid to make bigger saves than the average goaltender in this league. Swayman's not upholding that side of the bargain. He's not. And Swayman will be the first one to admit that, I bet. I really do think that. Lindholm and Geekie, a positive one to end on. They combined for 13 shots on net. That's really good. Each had a goal, but that's a lot of offensive pressure that we'd love to see. And you know I love to dunk on both of these guys. I'm doing a lot of dunking this year. That's just what I'm doing. I don't want to be a negative guy. I really hope I'm not turning into like a negative fan. But that is awesome to see from these two guys. It is making me kind of pull my hair out. The Pasta, I think, had 3. Well, maybe 2 before the overtime. I would rather just see like 6 or 7 shots from Pasta than either of those two guys. But I'm not going to complain about those guys combining for that much offensive pressure. Even if a lot of it was pretty easy for Wolf to track and keep out of the net. Still, pucks on net, I'll take that any day of the week. Either way, this is a really big win. I feel really good about it. Like, comment, subscribe. Nailed it. Go Bees. Go Bees! And now it's time to say thank you to the high-quality inspectors. I appreciate each and every one of you. There's over 100 of you at this point. And I love doing these thank yous at the end, but I think we're reaching such a volume that I have to rethink this strategy because you're all so incredible and so supportive. But this is getting really long, and there's got to be a better way, right? But let's start the thank yous, of course, with the top line tier. Dampen, Negev79, Trial Exotic, Jeff McGugan, Brad Yaati, Andrew Peterson, Zenon Noel DeGuy, Donald Shelton, Anakin Palpatine, The Rat 63, Lola Cattingsworth, EKM Productions, Moonlighter TV, Big Bad Bruin, The Bugman, Adam Ella, Jeff with a G, Tommy Braga, Roland 22, GD Viperworks, Len Cruz, Brock Nope, Han Slomo, Coach D, The Atomic Lizard, Bradley Johnson, Brett Arney, Pincent, and Nick Citrullo. Thank you so much, each and every one of you. You're absolute legends of this channel, and you're very appreciated. And now, of course, to our all-star tier members. Lorenzo Wood, Jake Brower, Penny Pasta, Levi Catalani, Boston Stringler, Bagel, Jacob Pratt, Nightmare Eco, John Kirk, Ann Hustis, Joel, Hyle E. Coyote, Darren Woodbury, Abraxion, Michael DePaulo, Wolf Warrior, Vinny, Adrian Winter, Tupton D. Tashi, Bruin Smash, DeKingery, The Only Newts, A Tasty Snack, Doots42, and Jeremy. Absolute stallions, every single one. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for being a part of the channel. I cannot express my gratitude. Go Bees.